neurologists, or actually, I shouldn't say a group, 2 neurologists from Tokyo had done a study wanting to see if indeed this is true, everything that I just told you about flowers and the fact that it lights, helps your brain health and your physical health, and does it actually improve your memory? So they did a study, and in that study, they had 2 groups. One group, they did memory testing. They gave pressed flowers to work with. And then they did a PET scan, which shows the activity going on in the brain. And then a week passed, they did a memory screen again and another PET scan, and they saw that those people actually had improved memory and greater activity in their brain. The folks that went through the same study but did not work with flowers, worked with another creative medium, did not show the same results on their memory screen or on their PET scan for increased activity. So he said, could you write a book? And I said, I don't know. I don't understand it, because pressed flowers, if it's just pressed flowers, then they're dried. They're 2-dimensional and they're dried. And so there's no life force in them. Why would pressed flowers work as opposed to anything else? So that is where I began to do my research on the research that's been done, and it's what I've already spoken about, that it turns out that it's not pressed flowers alone, it's flowers. So whether those flowers are silk, whether they're pressed, whether they're real, whether they're painted, or whether they're doodled, sometimes when you're on the phone and you're taking notes and you make a little doodle of a daisy, it still will have an effect on your brain. Your eye sees the flower. The brain has a natural affinity to that. And so we want to utilize that and harness that to improve cognitive performance and our overall health. So it doesn't matter whether you have a cognitive issue or you just want to feel good. Flowers are actually the way to do it. So I'm going to begin to talk a little bit more about flowers now, and so I'm going to take this brief break. And so shapes also have an effect on the brain, and I wanted to bring that into the discussion, because just like flowers can affect the brain and help the brain light up, shapes through the collective unconscious also have an effect on the brain. And one of those shapes that we know works on the brain is hearts. So hearts, again, when someone sees a heart, like I heart Cape Cod or I heart my dog, no one has a negative connotation. So that's where we're going with this. That the reason, again, I'm just going to keep reiterating some of these things. The reason why flowers are connected to our emotional component in the brain is there's no negative connotation. So when something's positive, it dilates and there's circulation going. When something's negative, it constricts and causes stress. It's pretty simple. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. So it turns out that it's the flowers, it's the shapes, and what I'm going to talk about now is color. So color is also important. And with all of this that I've learned, this is why I wrote the book, Flower in Your Mind, so that you could understand some of the research, but then utilize some of the activities in here to create joy for yourself or for your family member who might have cognitive issues. So it turns out that color also increases the stimulation in the brain. And there have been, in 1800 BC, I think it was, in the Sanskrit writings, they talk about the chakras. And I have a diagram here that I'm going to leave up so that as I said to you, we are sensory beings, so we experience the world through our senses. Even though we sometimes experience the world unconsciously, we're still experiencing it through our senses. And these chakras are basically spinning wheels of energy that lay along our spinal cord and relay information to our brain. And so different colors are associated with the chakras, and different colors are also representing different organs in our body. So if we begin to understand that, we can understand that color is a manifestation of light. That colors vibrate at different frequencies. In medicine, they use infrared, that is a very slow vibration and it goes deep and is healing to tissue. And ultraviolet, which vibrates very quickly and is used in laser treatments. So the Egyptians actually used to use colored stones, and they would position people within, I don't know if it was the pyramid, but I'm guessing some kind of building where they had a window specifically so light could come in, and they would put these healing gems along the chakra points if they wanted to heal the body. So again, just another reason why color has an effect on us. So the first chakra is represented by the color red. And I'm moving a little bit differently now. So the first chakra is represented by the color red. And when you look at this, does anybody have a reaction to this? Do you have a reaction to this color?
White.
It's bright.
Red.
Mm-hmm. Do you like it?
I like green better.
You like green better. Okay. Now we're going to get to green. You have a green jacket on, so I can see why. So red is the color of the first chakra. And red grounds us. It's bright, it's stimulating, and it's interesting that the eye has the greatest receptors for the color red. So it draws our attention. That's why stop signs are red. It's often used in an arrangement as a focal point because it will draw the eye in. And anything that you want in your home setting, for instance, that you want to call attention to, if it's a safety risk, you'll notice there's a red sign there. 911 is often in red, but anyway, I could go on and on about red in our lives, but the color red is represented for the first chakra, and it tends to ground us, and it helps us feel connected to the earth. And those that are attracted to red are thought to be uncomplicated and open-minded. So if you want this trait, if you want to open yourself to new information, or you want to feel focused, you might surround yourself with a flower arrangement that has some red in it, or a room that has red in it. I know over time they have thought that red is actually the color of passion, but I think only because it represents blood, but not because it represents the heart chakra, which we are going to talk about. So the second is represented by the color orange. Now, does anybody feel a connection to this color? Oh, we have a gentleman that feels a connection to this, yes.
When I see orange, I always think of sort of a warm, fuzzy feeling associated with orange.
A warm, fuzzy feeling. Well, orange is a combination of red and yellow, which is the third chakra. Orange is very stimulating, and it can create a lot of social conversation because it's bright. And it's also interesting, if you think about it, that orange alone needs to be toned down a little bit. To have an entire arrangement of orange would really probably keep you focused on the arrangement and not on anything else that you wanted to do. And if you notice in life, the colors of McDonald's are red and yellow, which we're about to talk about, because they're all, these three are all very stimulating. And in stimulating for a restaurant, they want you to eat. And Burger King could not use red and yellow, so they used orange and blue. Again, though, to create a stimulating effect to increase your appetite. It's also, there is a well-known study in the world of dementia called the red plate study, that if you put food on a red plate, you can increase someone's appetite rather than putting food on a white plate or any other colored plate. So a lot of assisted livings have utilized that knowledge and incorporated that into their dining. So orange lies at the seat of the reproductive organs, and it represents physical and intellectual vitality, as well as it can energize feelings of sexuality. So I don't know, sir, if that is something that, you thought of when you looked at orange, but, I say go for it, and yes.
It makes me think of sunsets.
Sunset.
People love sunsets.
Okay, so
maybe that's why they move to sunset, because it's such beautiful.
It really, though, is very stimulating. You feel it by looking at it. Can you sense?
I see the orange and I feel it. It's just a feel